nerds.
Hey, get over here. He's calling all nights.
Oh, jeez. Here come the nerds. It's time to talk to the interested and interesting.
I was wondering when the nerd would come.
And here's your host, Mike Thayer.
That is absolutely great. What are you doing here listening to this? All right. Okay, welcome. Calling all nerds, talking to the interested and interesting. I'm your host, Mike Thayer. So this week I'm talking to my good buddy, Bruce Pitcher. Before I get into that, I'll give you somewhat of an update of what I'm doing. So Book 2, The Uncharted Lands and the Epic Adventures of the Techno Wizard, is off with my editor. It should be back within the week. It is also with beta readers. I've been getting feedback probably the last week or so. We'll continue to get feedback in the next week. People are liking it a lot, which is great news. Plenty of things to tweak, as there always are, kind of tighten it up, make some of the scenes pop. Be really interested to see what my editor comes back with. This is a new editor for me. Have not worked with her before, but I have had some pretty good feedback from some folks that I met and talked to online about her work. So really excited. Cover art for Book 2, I will be ready to reveal it here in probably this week. So I have it back. I'm just waiting for my cover designer to kind of create a cool little graphic on a cover reveal and reveal the cover for Book 2. That was a lot of fun to do that with my cover artist and then with the designer as well. So that's coming along pretty solid. So as soon as I get it back from my editor, it will be a mad dash to update everything, and then I have to resubmit it for proofreading. It gets proofread, and then it gets sent back to me. I'll probably have a couple people read through it again real fast, make sure I've got as many of the typos as humanly possible out. That was a big mistake last time. Did not have a good proofreader. Anyway, that's my fault. I will correct it this time around. And then December 10th is when this thing's going to go down. So a lot of fun. I cannot wait to see this thing go live. I'm also going to sell books at the Billings Holiday Food and Gift Festival, which will be pretty fun. Setting up a booth there. That'll be in a week and a half from when this thing goes live. So pushing the books out as many ways as I can. I'm setting up tons of school visits. I'm actually trying to set up school visits in Utah while I'm there for the week of Thanksgiving. So I'm trying to go back to my alma maters, Centennial and Rock Canyon and Timpview and some other schools as well in the area. I'm loving school visits. Trying to do, as I said, as many as I can. I just love getting in front of crowds. I love talking to the kids. Obviously, I'm super passionate about this, and they respond really well, so it is just a lot of fun. So I'm setting up those like mad. And then I'm working on Danny Doubleday. So this is a book about a kid who lives every day twice. It is a pretty cool book. I'm having problems, but I'm having to think quite a bit about how I want to write it for what audience. Originally, I wanted to write it for like a grade 1 through 3. So dumb the language way down, keep it way simple, almost like a diary of the Wimpy Kid. And then as I'm writing it, it's going to be a lot shorter than the Techno Wizard, but it ends up kind of feeling like the Techno Wizard in the level of explanation. I got my brother and his young kids as my beta readers on this one. They're actually alpha readers. They're reading the first draft of my story. They're liking it. I'm just going to have to zero in on it. But hopefully I'll be able to finish this in like a week, at least the first draft. And my plan is to pitch this to agents. I want to try to get this thing traditionally published. And I think it deserves it because it's a pretty clever story and it's an awesome story. And I'll be able to pump out tons of these books. So that's what I've been up to for the last little while. So Bruce Pitcher. For those of you that don't know Bruce, my guest this week, Bruce is a life coach. He's a motivational speaker. He's a trainer, all-around awesome guy. He's been my friend since the 7th grade when I started playing football with him all throughout high school. And then I kind of lost track. Well, I didn't lose track of him, but we kind of went our separate ways. I went on to BYU, went on my mission, and then, got a job. I moved to Texas and yeah, kind of lost touch with Bruce a bit. And Bruce has got a tough, he was dealt a tough hand for sure. Bruce's dad was our middle school football coach. We won like every game. He had one team that never even got scored on. Incredible coach. He also abused a lot of kids. And he's been in jail for the last 15 years and will stay there. So Bruce, obviously being his son, had a lot of abuse go his way. And after high school, he started packing on the pounds. He hit 400 pounds. Then he got chosen to be on ABC's Extreme Weight Loss and was able to lose 201 pounds. He got down to like 181. which is just crazy. Did it in a year through diet and exercise, and has defied all odds. Typically on shows like this, Biggest Loser, extreme weight loss, they gain it back within 5 years. It's been 5 years. Bruce looks better than ever. In fact, he's like bulking up for bodybuilding competitions. The man. He has this crazy, passionate, magnetic personality that, he always kind of wanted to live life. No, I won't say live life hard, but he was just a passionate guy. He was passionate about life and about other people and having fun. And in high school, he was, we love Bruce. Everyone loves Bruce. And he spiraled downward and hit pretty hard. So I talked to him about hitting rock bottom and how on earth he was able to make this change. He was able to come back from this and make a permanent change. And a lot of what he talks about is integrity, personal integrity, which is making a promise to yourself and keeping that promise. So I'll let Bruce talk about it in the podcast, but it came at a very good time in my life. So, everyone knows I quit, and I was pretty disciplined when I first started, but when you write, it's very easy to sort of write way into the night, especially for me, because I'm a night owl. I'll write way into the night. It'll be 2 or 3 in the morning by the time I call it quits, and then I wake up later, and it throws my day off, and I don't have to get up. I have no meeting. I just have to start writing again. So in some respects, it makes sense to kind of keep going once you hit a groove. But in other respects, it throws you out of whack. Then I started working out and getting in shape, and then I got injured again. I injured my neck, and I got this bone spur in my foot, blah, blah, blah. Excuse. See, I didn't figure out a way through it. I kind of used it as an excuse. And I didn't have that drive. I was motivated, but I wasn't driven. And we talk about that as well. So again, I'm working really hard, and I'm putting in tons of hours with all this stuff, and the podcast, and my book, school visits. But I don't know, I could be a lot more disciplined, and it's not just about putting in the hours for me, it's about doing it in the right way. Even if I'm generating good things, I'm generating a lot of content, I kind of want to do it in the right way, so I feel good and feel healthy. And anyway, it came at a really good time to hear some of these words from Bruce, and it's highly motivational, inspirational for me. Not just to see someone out there do this, but to see someone I know do this, and to turn their life around. So I think anyone's going to get a lot of value out of this conversation I have with Bruce. We do, towards the end, kind of go off the rails and start reminiscing about old times. It was inevitable. This is one of the reasons I do this podcast. Not that I need an excuse to talk to one of my friends of a podcast episode, but it wouldn't have happened. I probably wouldn't have followed up with Bruce if I was still working a turnaround somewhere, working 12 to 13 hours a day. It just wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have had time during the day. So this is one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast, to have these awesome conversations with people I find interesting and people I like. So just, you got to bear with it as we reminisce on old times and talk about inside jokes. But anyway, I love talking to Bruce. I absolutely loved catching up with him. A wonderful human being. So without further ado, here's my good buddy, the man, Bruce Pitcher. All right, so here we go. I'm here with my buddy Bruce Pitcher. So 5 years ago, Bruce was a contestant on ABC's Extreme Weight Loss, where he became one of the most popular contestants in the show's history, not just because of his likable personality, but because of his passion, his intensity, his results. Lost 200 pounds in a year through diet and exercise, which was just incredible. Up to that point, I was gone. I was out of the country when this all happened. I was in Australia, and I remember I came back for like a Christmas or something with my in-laws, and I watched it, and I got choked up when you met Jerry Rice. So I was like, that is the fulfillment. That is the pinnacle of everything Bruce had ever wanted in his life. He's coming out with a book here in the next month or two called Larger Than Life: From Childhood Abuse to ABC's Extreme Weight Loss. I mentioned he is my good friend since the 7th grade, and I haven't caught up with him in probably 10 to 15 years. So, so take me through, since we have like a trillion different places where we could start, take me through your book. We just talked about this. We had a false start on the podcast, so we had to restart. So take me through how that book came about.
So how the book came about is a lot of people obviously told me I should write a book and everything. So a trainer that I had in Colorado that was our trainer on the show, I became good friends with him when I was living in Colorado too, started working with him. And then one day I was just doing cardio, and he just came up to me and was like, "Hey, you want to do a book?" And I was like, he asked me, "Why haven't you done a book?" And I'm like, right. I have no idea. And I'm like, I've wanted to, just financially, all the stuff. I have no idea where to start. I had just no idea. And so he said, "Well, my parents are professional book writers, and my sister is, and like we would love to be the ones to help you write it, and I'll cover the expenses and this and that. And I was like, all right, sounds like a plan. And so we just started going, and so they put us in the right direction, and just started meeting with my ghostwriter all the time, which is his sister, who was awesome and who actually has couldn't have portrayed my story any better than what, like, reading it and approve it. I was just like, this is perfect.
So you just sat down with her and she just took notes, and you kind of wanted to and she helped you construct the narrative, kind of how you wanted to tell it from beginning to end.
Yep. And so it's kind of like two people like talking. So I'll share my story, and then people that were involved, a lot of people that were involved in my life will come in and share chapters. So it's like, oh, okay, so now you'll hear their perspective of the way things were and stuff like that. So
I didn't get contacted about the chapter of us, vandalizing people's Christmas decorations.
Hey, that is true. That is
still waiting for my phone call.
Dave, 2.0, the book, the next book, we have plenty of more stories.
Yeah, we'll certainly do. There's no doubt about it. I sent a text out to a couple of the guys, like Eric and those guys. I was like, guys, I'm interviewing Bruce. What are some good stories that we all remember from the early days? There was no shortage, man. Yeah, I remember one of them was, I don't know if you remember this, but you would at one sitting in Wendy's, you would eat in like 8 quarter pounders, a triple decker, and a full salt shaker. You were the salter of every bite.
Yes, because I remember I put salt in my fry sauce too and everything else. So yeah,
dude,
that was. Yes.
You were destined for greatness, man, one way or another.
Exactly.
That is crazy. So yeah, so you were just a couple of sittings, and would she record it? Would she write stuff down, your ghostwriter?
So she actually came out and then went and interviewed people, and then we talked on a weekly basis every week for like an hour, 2 hours a day.
Okay.
And then we wrote about 3 to 4 rough drafts. So and then made adjustments. Obviously the very first one that came out pretty much got scratched all the way around.
Yep.
Because it was like just the crazy outline that we had, so we wanted to change it up. Got some other people's opinions too that have written books and think that it would be good to put. And so it just was a process, and it all worked out. And she just she actually went to like the creator of Extreme Weight Loss and Biggest Loser. She went to his house and like got information from him, and so it was awesome to the way she worked for it. So
have you seen it all now, kind of beginning to end? You've seen how
Yep.
That's crazy.
It's awesome.
So
we want to leave like at the end of every chapter, we leave like a kind of like an action item kind of thing. So in the back, we'll have like a list of the action items that you want to take into place and to, better yourself in your life in any way you can, So
who would you recommend this book for? Is this book for people who want to lose weight? That people just want to overcome like childhood trauma? Like who's the audience for this?
I think it's pretty much everyone, that's both. Like anybody that's experienced adversity in life, like you could read it.
Right.
So and then it will just like, I think is the thing for anybody, to be honest. So it's just my story. So like anybody can read it and come up with it, and anybody that obviously has ever had abuse, obviously it's good for them.
Right.
Anybody though that with any kind of adversity or anything like that, or like, I feel like they would love it. So,
because I have shown your before and after picture to, hundreds of people, friends, coworkers, whoever else, right? We'll get talking on some subject about something. I was like, yeah, you want to know what my buddy did back in high school? And the conversation always goes to, like, I don't understand how you did it, Bruce. Like, I was trying to come up with a way last night. I listened to a couple of your podcasts you've been on, like Brute Strength podcast, and I was trying to understand like the best way to ask this question. I have an analogy, so go with me for a little bit. So my analogy is we're all kind of like cars, right? Our personalities, our genetics, our upbringing, all education, all this stuff is like parts of a car, right? So my car can do certain things and it can't do other things, right? It might be flashy, it might be utilitarian, but you can replace parts and you can repair parts and you can clean parts, but you are kind of who you are. You are the car. So the parts of you that had your car heading to self-destruction are still the same parts that have you just crushing it right now. What did you change? So like, what part did you change? Was it your personality that you cleaned up? Was it just unpacking all the baggage from your youth that you had to kind of gunk out of your engine, and then all of a sudden you were off and running? Because for somehow all the things that make Bruce Bruce almost killed you, but now all those things that make Bruce Bruce make you like now you're crushing it. So how does that, I don't understand how that's possible.
Yeah, it is crazy because this is what's cool about doing this with you is you knew me before really well.
Right.
And you know me now, and it's like, just like you said, I haven't changed my personality. Everything is the same that it was when I was 400 pounds. You know what I mean? It's just different now and I think it's a little bit of both of everything. Unleashing the baggage. Yep. I think it's just like the support, like from Extreme Weight Loss, like Chris and Heidi and stuff, the belief that they had in me that I could finally do something like that was just unbelievable. Like, and it just made me open my eyes to be like, nothing, like I've always said, like none of like my friends and everything couldn't do that back then because you guys kept me afloat for where I was.
Right.
And then I think they just took it just another level. You know what I mean? Just switched it to another level. And then I think and then they taught me simple things of integrity, like integrity to myself. And that's really what it boiled down to is I had no integrity to myself. I had integrity to you. I had integrity to everybody else. If you guys told me to do something, I was going to do it. Right. No problem. You know what I mean? But the moment that I had my integrity for myself was just crap. Like if I said I was going to start a workout, if I said I was going to go do this, for me, I didn't do any of that. Yeah. And that was probably one of the biggest changing moments was like, you know what? I just got to have integrity. And if I keep my integrity, I can do anything that I want to do in my life. And it just is, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to look back on everything. And I'm a huge David Goggins fan. I don't know if you know him.
A little bit.
But yeah, so I look at my life and I use a lot of his analogies and it's just like, it's crazy to think about, like, I really look at everything I went through and everything that I've been through as a blessing, and it's made me obviously turned me not into this, but like it's helped me be what I'm doing now. So
I think one of your strengths that you've always had is people like you, right? You can make friends really, really easy. And whether it's, and because again, it's this passion you have for life. So whether you were 400 pounds and just out there coaching and doing your thing, like people flock and rally around you because of your personality. Like I remember the first time I ever met you, the first time I ever saw you, you're not even gonna know what this is. We were at Granny's malt shop in Heber. So I was in lightweight and you were middleweight, and I was there. It was after the game. We played Wasatch, and I saw you come in. I knew who you were because you were coach's son, and you started doing your Michael Jackson dance. That was the first time I'd ever seen you, and I was like, "Who is this kid?" But like everyone loved you, and I was like, and I think that helps you because you got to a point where you wanted to change. I'm assuming I hit rock bottom probably, and I think it takes two things. And correct me if I'm wrong, because you've gone through a bigger transformation than anyone I know. But in my eyes, it's like two things that for people to change. And number one, it's you have to hit rock bottom, because
no question.
Because if you don't, you're not going to change, right? It's still working for you, quote unquote, to some degree. And then number two, you have to have a crazy support structure.
Yes.
Or you'll just retreat back. So your ability to make friends gave you a support structure.
Yes, right? I agree. 100%. That's one thing that not like just sound like arrogant or whatever, but like Heidi always says that I surround myself with people that are actually better than me. Like not tearing myself down kind of thing, but
no, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, people that have achieved things, people that I'm trying to be like as great as them, and that's the way. That's what I'm. And it's not like I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to be around. No, I look at those people. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a person that I want to have in my life. And you're exactly right. What is the first thing you touched on? Because it was so true. Oh yeah,
hitting rock bottom.
Hitting the rock bottom. Yeah. In order to get it to where you want to get to, it's just like the people I work with. You have to get uncomfortable. And if you don't hit rock, sometimes it takes rock bottom to get uncomfortable. Like, because then you don't have a freaking choice. And that's the reason a lot of people always ask, well, why do the people gain the weight back? Well, because they're so comfortable. And obviously in the show, they're forced to be uncomfortable. But when they're done, it's easy to go back into their normal jobs, be normal, be comfortable. Like for you, for instance, for what you're doing now, you had to get uncomfortable. You had to change. Yeah, you had to change up your whole freaking life and be like, you know what? I'm going to quit what I'm doing, and I'm going to pursue this dream, and this is going to suck because I'm going out on a limb. And this is like, But because of that, it's forced you to become like, to turn into like all this great things are happening for you and all that stuff. So it's just like, yeah, I totally agree with that. Rock bottom is the key and getting uncomfortable. The moment you're comfortable, that's when things are going to be not good.
It's really tricky because a lot of the rock bottom thing is like, if you're waiting for someone to hit rock bottom, they can go one of two directions. They can hit rock bottom and then they can do bad stuff, right? They can never come back, or they can bounce back from it. I think if you surround yourself, and I think that was the key for you, man. People love you. You just have like, such a cool personality, and people flock to you. And so when you hit rock bottom, some of it's luck. You got you had an awesome opportunity, and you took advantage of it. That's the thing. A lot of people don't, but I think that's key. I just kind of realized that talking to you. I was, because it's been such a big mystery. I was like, people don't come back from the kind of things you came back from. It just doesn't happen all that often.
Well, that's why I always say in my talks, I always talk about you guys. When I go do my talks, you guys are always a focal point in my life, because I always talk about like, hey, it was my friends, it was my football team that got me through high school, to get me through everything that I went through. It was all of you guys. I always share that in my stories of like, you have no idea how many times I would just show up to their house. Like, they would just be like, well, Bruce is here. You know what I mean? It's just like, just pulling up out of nowhere, and it was just like, and you guys didn't know how long I was staying. You guys didn't know how much food I was going to eat. Like, it was just like, he's here. So, and there's just nothing, and it was great because, I know it got annoying at times, but at the same time, it was like, you guys accepted all that. Like, all of you did. You all rallied around. And we're just like, boom. And it's so great we're talking about this, because my next my next coach's corner is tomorrow, is about rallying my team, like rallying your team. And actually, this is bringing a lot of thoughts to my head of what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. So
what you now do is called the Champ Within. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So it's called Champ Within. So I started a coaching program a little over a year ago. And I was just like, you know what? I don't know why I'm not like helping people change their lives, Right. So I made an Instagram, Facebook post one day, and I got a ton of freaking emails and leads and everybody. And so I started this little thing, and it started into just like 15 and got up to, I took on 19 people for the first 12 weeks. And then boom, I was like, you know what? I think I can take a few more, and took some more. And then now I'm working with like 100 people, and I'm coaching, and Chris and Heidi started a coaching program. So now I'm with them now. They asked me to come over, so I just converted all my people that I got over, and actually it's been an honor. We just changed the coaching program name. It's still Coaching by Transform or whatever, but it's Champ Within. Like the coaching program is Coaching by Transform Champ Within.
So it's like, is it remotely? Do you take people to a spot, a physical spot?
Remotely.
It's remotely.
Yeah, it's all remotely. I have people in Finland. I have people in Australia. I have people in the UK, and they're just freaking awesome. And I always tell them thank you, because like they're helping me live my dream, because like my passion passion is hard to make money off of passion.
I know that's my whole deal. It's how to monetize your passion. If you can monetize your passion, you've achieved the greatest thing in life. You can't get better than that. If you can make money off your passion, what else is there in life? I mean, that's it, man.
Exactly. So it's just always like, it's just been a dream come true doing what I do now. So it's awesome.
So the intervening years, so you came out of biggest extreme weight loss, and then you've always kept the weight off, but what were you doing until you kind of caught on and realized I could coach and help people?
Dude, that was a constant struggle. So that's the good thing now, is like I got 2 phases of my life now. So like before the show and obviously after the show, you come after the show and it's like, all right, what do I do?
Yeah.
You're just kind of like,
it's got to be so weird.
Oh yeah, it's so weird. And lucky enough, I was fortunate enough to work on the next season of the show.
That's right.
So but then you're still kind of in limbo, because you're like, well, how long is this show gonna last?
Right. How long will you keep me around? How long? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it lasted only one more year, because that season sucked. If they're just kidding.
There was no more Bruces, man.
Yeah, our season stole the show, and then their season came along, and ratings just went boom. No, I'm just kidding.
It's the Bruce effect, man.
That's right. So then, and then afterwards, I was just like, okay, well, what do I do? And I was basically, during working on the show, I was basically living out of my car still, like bouncing back and forth, because what they do is they supply you with enough stuff that I was like, okay, I got a 15-passenger van. I'll just bounce back and forth. I'll stay in some of the cast members' apartments every now and then, sleep on their couch, do some laundry at their place. So it worked out well. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? And then so then Denver started this thing called Destination Boot Camp. So I was like, awesome. So I started working that. So then like the show, you're like, well, how long is this going to last?
Right.
You know, so I'm still not reaching, I don't think, my full potential, but that is also where it kind of started me to start learning to coach. Like obviously working with the show, with the contestants, learning things like that. Then doing that kind of started to help me do that. And so, and then obviously I met Alexa.
I was going to ask you. So that was in Colorado.
Yeah.
Then.
Yep. So I met Alexa in Colorado. And then, so then I was always like, well, I'm going to end up going to Arizona, you know, as we were dating. And then, but things kept happening in Colorado. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just stay here. And so then I just finally got an apartment in Colorado, stayed there. And then obviously I proposed to Alexa, and then she actually was working at Sports Authority corporate office, and they went bankrupt.
Yep.
So like they went out of business. So lo and behold, the next day, Corey, in fact, his company, Richie and all them, their company was hiring, and as a project manager. So boom, we were able to get Alexa an interview. They loved her. So then it brought me back to Utah for a year after living in Colorado for 3 years. So then we were in Utah for a year, and I was just running boot camps. Like I was just running like 6-week challenge boot camps, but never like the full potential of what I really wanted to coach people. Right. And then all of a sudden one day we both, she was not liking her job, and I was just like, basically I did what you did, is I just came into home one day and I just said, hey, and I didn't really have work. So I just said, hey, we're moving to Arizona.
Yeah,
this isn't working. So we packed up our things, found an apartment, drove out here. At that point I had like $81 in my bank account. So I was just like, she was stressed, like there was no tomorrow. But you know, the thing is like everybody's always like, oh, Bruce is killing it. And it was, you know, things are going well, pretty well. It's just, how the heck am I going to do this? Right. So I got here, and then that's when I was like, you know what? Speaking of rock bottom, you know, you're just like, she has a job that's paying good now, but when she first got here, it wasn't as much as we thought it was going to be. Right. She actually works for Chris and Heidi now, so it actually goes really well. So then I just was like, all right, I'm going to make this video. Boom. All of a sudden that happened. Boom. A little over a year later, we bought a house. So like, it's just incredible.
Crazy,
just,
man.
Yeah.
You never know what it's going to be.
Own a car. No. Yeah. Never thought in my wildest dreams that any of this, it just is awesome. So
it's great, man. Desperation makes for a lot of success.
Yeah.
In some sense.
If you, like you said, if you take it the right way, you have the path. Like, you want to go the path of, and that's where you learn about yourself. Like, you want the hard times. You want to learn what kind of person you are. Take the freaking hard path. If you want to stay comfortable the rest of your life, take the easy path. So
it's crazy. So I've been talking to as many people as I can, and trying to talk to successful people. And I talked to Greg Olson, the painter, Bryn's dad. And, you know, he had similar stories, man. Like, he had times where he had to borrow money from his in-laws to pay the mortgage. And you just, I don't know. Certain people respond to having their backs against the wall. Yeah. And that's when there's like, you know what? Now I'm going to do it. Because you're so right, man. If you get comfortable, that was my biggest problem, is the golden handcuffs. Yeah. I have a weird story. Like, no one's gonna feel bad for me. I had a really good job. Like, my paid great. Took me all over the world, but it was killing me. And so I was like, you know, and it was weird. I got comfortable with a good job, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But it tortured a part of me. It tortured the creative part of me, and the part of me that wanted to spend more time with my family and wanted to do stuff like this. I wouldn't, dude. If right now, if I was still working my job, I'd be working, you know, 12-hour days, 6 or 7 days a week. I wouldn't be calling you right now.
No.
And this is, dude, this makes life so much better.
Yeah. Like, and you know, like being like self-employed and doing this kind of stuff, it's nerve-wracking at times, but at the same time, like you were just saying, look at the opportunity that you have. You never have a chance to, it's just like, and we're not saying for people to go quit their normal jobs, but it's just like, I always tell people, like, go live a dream, and it might take times to get to, but it's like, it's the old cliche thing that you hear from everybody out there that's a motivational speaker and all this stuff. If you want it bad enough, it's going to happen. That's right. And until you really register that in your head, it's true though. It is so true, but it is the hardest thing to like full on believe.
Yeah, and I think when you put it to somebody like, how bad do you want it? Dude, I want it bad. Okay, are you willing to move? Well, I mean, you willing to like take up mistakes? Well, are you willing to quit your job? No. Okay, then you don't really want it that bad. You kind of want it. You like the idea, but you don't really want it that bad. And then you see people do it, and you're like, freak, dude. Like, look, dude, you're freaking chugging a gallon of water. Like, this is part of who you are. You don't stop, man. Like, it's not like. No. I loved what you on the it was a Brute Strength podcast when you talked about the difference between motivation and drive. That was perfect. I've never I had like a sense of what that was, but I'd never heard it explained like that. Want to talk a little bit about that? I mean, do you use that when you talk to people? And it seems like integrity, drive, and motivation is kind of like your three pillars.
Yep, and I give that a lot of that credit to Goggins because he's one of the first people I heard that from. And so he did, and just more I've dived into it, is it's so true. It's like the difference between motivation, because some people when you first say that to, they're like, there's no difference. And I'm like, oh yeah, there is. There's a huge difference. I'm like, the difference between motivated and driven is when adversity hits or bad times hit, like you're still going towards your goal. So like for sides of exercise, for instance, it's like, it is so easy to meal prep, eat right, get to the gym when everything in your life is just great. Oh my gosh, everything is so good. Okay, that's awesome. Look, and I'm posting quotes and this is and it's just like, and you're just like, are you freaking kidding me? But then the moment like, oh, there's this thing just happened. Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's just like and then it's like, that's the difference. Like, what are you going to do when tragedy hits? Like, I've had a couple of my people where tragedies hit and they've shown up to the gym where their brother literally got in a car accident and died and showed up to the gym 2 days later. Damn. And I was just like, and emotionally when I saw them, that brought me to tears, not because, obviously with seeing them like go through what they're going through, but at the same time, coming to the gym is just such a powerful thing because that means it's clicked. That means they have something in their mind of what we've been working on clicked to be like, look, we have a choice right now, like we can either do it. And I always say it's like when the weather gets cold, are you the people that are motivated and driven, you step outside and it's freezing, you're like, oh gosh, and you come back in, that's the difference, that's the difference of guys that just are like, you know what, I got to get this done and I'm going to do it, or when you're just tired and it's like, I can get it tomorrow. The driven people suffer through it and get uncomfortable and just go. And so that's what the difference is I always say is motivation sucks, be driven, And so it's like, that's the true thing. Because so many people, let me find this motivational quote and and it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you need a meme, dude, the only reason those are good is every once in a while you read something that reminds you of your drive. Exactly. And then you focus back on your drive. But you're focused on a motivational quote, you're going nowhere.
Exactly. Like you were saying, that's perfect. If you find a quote that works for you to get you back to where you like to get that drive of why you're doing it, then boom, that's exactly.
Because you get distracted. You can forget every once in a while about your drive. But when you remind, for me, it was actually happened the other day. I was watching, because I really, really want to succeed in what I'm doing, and I'll look at people who are successful. And at first I was like, maybe this is jealousy, maybe this is a chip on my shoulder, but I feel it burning in my stomach. Like to me, motivation bounces around your head, drive comes from your gut. Like I feel it physically inside me, like I will stop at nothing to show the world that I belong here, right? Like, and it just burns and you really don't. Like, I don't care what time it is, I don't care if it's 3 a.m., like I'm gonna make this thing work. And I don't know how to teach people that. I tell my kids all the time, I know what you want so like if my kids are making an excuse like, hey, let's go through the football, and then I start hearing an excuse, I immediately know that I don't want to do it. Like, if you're making an excuse to not do something, then you don't want to do it. So what are you making an excuse to do? Are you making excuses to run, or are you making excuses not to run?
Yeah.
Are you making excuses to write, or are you making excuses not to write? Because anytime people, you saw this on like your mission, if people who are on LDS, certain LDS mission, if you ask people to do something and they start making excuses, I automatically know you don't want to do it. I know you're trying to be nice to me, but what are you making excuses to do? If you're making, if you come on to me and I'm like, hey, Bruce, let's talk. You're like, yeah, let's talk, but I'm not going to stop drinking water. Or by the way, I have this. Then I'm like, dude, this guy's serious. He's not going to let anything stand in his way of getting, so you're making excuses to do something. So I think that's a quick thing. Is like, what am I passionate about? It's like, what do you make excuses to do? And what do you make excuses not to do?
Yeah, people have to realize what beneficially selfish is too. Speaking of that, with like water, like I got to get my water. So you know what? I have to. That's my integrity and my beneficially selfish, because that's going to help me be the best version of myself. That's going to help me be the best authentic person I could be on this, and talk from the heart. And because if I'm not doing any of that, if this was pounding something else, it'd be like, okay, yeah, whatever. So it's just, it's true.
No, I like that. I like that point. It's like the best thing you can give your kids or your friends is the best version of you, which is like, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people.
No.
If you can't take care of yourself, you're not going to be a good friend. So it's like the best thing you can do for other people is do stuff. A lot of times, do stuff for yourself.
Exactly. That I always say, when you're on a plane and you're flying, who's the first person you put the mask on? Yeah. It's not your kids. It's not anybody else. It's you. Because if you don't put it on you first, you're not going to save your kids. So it's just like, and if you don't take care of yourself, you're never going to be the best version of yourself for them. Be the best that you could be for them. So.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was listening to your podcast last night, because when I quit, I was like, I'm going to start getting in shape. And I started working out, and I've got a really bad back. I screwed it up during my mission, and then after my mission, I herniated my disc, and I've never really been able to bounce back from it. And I was like in serious chronic pain for probably well over half a decade. And I just stayed away from it. That's the best thing that, like, for me, is I was like, I'm just going to disengage, because every time I touch it, I'm just dying. I'm on the floor. So I was like, all right, I don't have to get back to playing flag football, however much it kills me to give up sports. I just want to live without pain. So that's where I kind of retreated to. Yeah. And so then when I started working out again, since I've quit my job, and I was starting to get in shape, and then it's like, oh, bone spur on my foot. I'm like, what? I didn't even know it was there. That's how long I've been like sedentary. And I go to the doctor. He's like, yeah, man, you have to get operated on that pretty soon. And I was like, crap. And then I was doing curls, and then I just felt like a muscle, just like a bowstring snap, boing, in my neck. I'm like, what? So I'm like, fine, screw it. And that's the difference. In writing and stuff, I'm driven. In working out, I was motivated. And then a little bit of adversity came my way, and I'm like, whatever. I'm getting injured too much. And here I am, out of shape and fat. So when I listened to it last night, I was like, no. Bruce is right, man. I've got to get back on the friggin' I've got to have a little bit more integrity to myself. Like, I got to not, because now it's like I don't have a meeting. I just have to write during the day. So if I get up at 7 or I get up at 9, it's like, whatever. Yeah. So, not that I don't work. I'm putting tons of hours in. I'm staying up late and everything. But there's been a couple of things I promised myself that I do that I haven't followed through with. Yeah. And I was like, that's me having integrity to myself. It like hit me pretty strong last night when I was listening to you. I was like, dang, man, he's right.
No, and you know what? It happens to all of us. It happens to me all the time. And it's just like I always say, like this analogy. It's kind of like the Mormon church. So I always tell people it comes from the Mormon church. Confess, reassess, recommit. There you go. Boom.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. You're totally right.
It's just those simple steps, and then you're cleared and go, and you just go crush it. So
with your book, you're pretty open about everything that happened in your youth. So that's something you're wanting to share with everybody and kind of get out there. So I was thinking about this too, because I was thinking, like, your dad, like, we never lost, right? How many teams did he take to championships? And so I was like, it must be this really weird thing that for a lot of people, your dad was like a motivational guy. He was like an inspirational figure. And then for you, and I don't know, do you have parts of it that you're like, you know what, I can at least take this from my dad that's valuable, but I'm going to compartmentalize the bad stuff? Or have you just like, you know what, I got to forget about everything and then get my good stuff from somewhere else? Or have you taken stuff from your dad that's actually good?
Yeah, I've taken stuff from him that's actually good, because I think a lot of like excitement and passion. He was passionate about football, and that side of it like was very passionate. And it's just like, so I take a lot. Like we did speaking of another life lesson, we did our biggest adversity things become, like, I can't remember exactly the title of it, become our biggest strengths. Right. And so like I always look at what I went through as in life, and it set me up to be where I am today. So like I told my group, I said, hey, I have gratitude for my dad almost every single day, because it wouldn't be possible if if that didn't all happen to me. I wouldn't be able, like, if that all didn't happen, we wouldn't be here right now.
No.
You know what I mean? It would have never got it's selected for extreme weight loss. Yeah. It wouldn't, a book would never be coming out. You know what I mean? All these other kinds of things. And it's just like, when you look at, and that's what I always tell people is try to look at your life and the adversity that you've overcome as your biggest, that have turned you into where you are today, that make your strengths just like, that's why you are who you are, because of that you dealt with, you took that weakness and you turned it into some kind of strength. And so that's so I've taken so many of his things and applied them to my life. And it's just been, and that's great. You know, like he did so many good things, but obviously did so many bad things. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's my choice, and I can live in a victim mentality. I can live in a cycle of that, or I can take them and move forward.
That's what I love, dude, is like if anyone got dealt a hand that had quite a few victim cards in it, like you got dealt a pretty crappy hand, man. And you could choose to play those victim cards probably your whole life, and you'd probably be justified in doing it. But if you did, like that's one thing, is when people want to play the victim and they want to complain, a lot of times I say, you know what, you're kind of justified in doing it. But when I look back at my life, anytime I felt sorry for myself, anytime I felt like a victim, the longer I stayed there, I wasn't improving my situation. I wasn't improving myself. I wasn't being happy. And so it's like, you can look at yourself and be like, man, I have been dealt a crappy hand. Yeah, you have. But guess what? The world does not care.
No.
Your friends might, but that's the world's job, is just to throw crap at you.
Yep.
And that's like, if your big revelation is, look how unfair the world is, people are going to be like, yeah, of course. Like, good job, Einstein. Way to figure that out.
Yeah, step in line. Welcome to the rest of us.
The test is how you react to it. So I think it's like, I love it when people, because I mean, people look at me and they're not going to be like, well, you know, you've overcome a bunch. I've had my fair share of failures in life. But people, like, the power of a guy like you, Bruce, is you can go to people and be like, dude, don't play your victim card. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? You're like, what are you going to say to me that I haven't personally gone through? Like, I'm telling you, playing your victim card is not the right thing to do. I feel sorry for you. You're justified to be angry, whatever else, but that's just holding you back.
Yep, exactly. And I always tell people, like, it's okay to every now and then to be sad and stuff, because you need that.
You do.
Like, one of my therapists taught me that, was like, you need that every now and then, but just know that you can't stay in that mentality the whole time, or else you're not going to get anywhere. It's like people that have cancer, you know, I'll never forget Stuart Scott. They always said, like, oh, how are you just so happy? And he's like, well, I'm not. I have my core friends that see me cry, that see me down, that I share with, and then that's all I need to come back and be the best version of myself.
Right.
So it's just that's what when people realize that like they don't have to be all the time happy, but they also know that they can always come out of what they're going through. It's just like, it's perfect. You know?
Yeah.
So.
I wrote an article about losing my dad, and a while ago, about loss, and how in some respects we're taught from a very early age, like, you know, there's kids starving in Africa. There's always someone worse off than you. And it's important, because you don't want to complain over trivial stuff. You don't want to complain over stupid stuff. That said, you do have to, like, when you go through things that are traumatic, you have to have time to mourn. You have to have time to sort of reinvent yourself. But then, as my dad used to always tell me, lay me down to bleed a while, but I'll rise and fight again. You got to get up.
Yep, exactly.
And it's hard for me. I mean, people aren't going to, no matter how cool I sound or how cool I make it sound, there's going to be a subsection of people that are like, okay, Thayer, Mr. Had a happy life, you know?
Exactly.
They're just not going to listen to me. And that's where, like, a guy like you, Bruce, you know, I don't know if this ever went through your head. You tell me. If it was like, when you were trying to overcome what you were overcoming with and dropping the weight, if you were like, if I can overcome this, what possibly could destroy you?
Yeah, no, that's gone through my head a lot. Like, I'm always just like, you know what? If that's what I always do. Like, I always just say, I always use the grab a towel analogy. Well, if something happens, you just grab a towel and work your way through it. So, and how that analogy came about is, I was at Destination Boot Camp, and we were in we were doing our motivational thing. I had to go get a workout. Bob had to go work out. He wanted to go do yoga. There was no way I was going to do yoga. So I went and did something else. And then we needed to shower. And I remember I got to the gym shower, and I was like, oh, crap, I forgot my towel. And so I was just like, oh, what am I going to do? So I just went and grabbed, I went and looked in the lost and found, and I found a towel. And I was just like, boom, and I didn't think anything of it. And when I told, somehow the story came up with him, and he was like, he just started laughing, and he was like, dude, that's just your whole life. Like, right there is you just, like, anything that's going to happen, you don't just, like, panic, you just go grab a towel. So anytime, like, yeah. So anytime adversity hits or anything, I always just am like, even with Alexa, you know, because she's had a pretty, like, she always says she's had a comfortable life and everything, and she's stressed about things. I'm like, hey, it's all going to work out. I mean, I'm not even worried. Everything's going to work out. And so that's one of my big things is, hey, it'll all work itself out. It'll all work out. So
that's a crazy thing too, is that was one of the big decisions when I was thinking of leaving was, man, what if I jump ship and I try to do this book thing and it doesn't catch on and I'm not making the money I want to make? Then what am I going to do? I've lost all this time that I would be putting money towards my 401k, blah, blah. And my wife's like, Mike, it's going to work out. Like, even if it does, it might not work out the way you want it to.
Yeah.
But it's going to, like, if you're smart and you're driven, and by what I mean by smart, you don't have to be super duper intelligent. You just have to have your head screwed on straight. Right? And if you're driven, it's like, what's really going to stand in your way permanently?
Exactly.
You might not get in a year, 2 years, or what, but like, what could possibly in America with your head screwed on straight and a good support structure and you being driven, how are you not gonna succeed? Now you might not be a millionaire, but how are you not gonna live a good life?
Exactly. You'll find a way. If you don't know how to do it, but if you're driven, you're gonna find the people that need to be in your life that are gonna help you do it, that are gonna make it happen. It's just like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, that's what I tell students when I go do school visits a lot. Like, one of my big pitch lines is surround yourself with awesomeness. So I talk about, like, you know, look at my home office. You got all this freaking, you know, Lord of the Rings stuff. And I got all these freaking awesome swords. And, you know, I'm constantly trying to build cool stuff and surround myself with cool things. But part of it, too, is surrounding yourself with cool people. So, you know, when I was in college and I was going into engineering, I was like, part of my big deal was, like, I need to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And so so you just surround yourself with people who are smarter. So part of it's cool stuff, part of it's cool people. When you're around bad people, it's really easy to do bad stuff. When you're around good people, it's really easy to do good stuff. And part of it's just getting the right team of guys together. Because it's like, there's a lot of things you could surround yourself with that would make you miserable.
Oh, yeah.
And part of life isn't overcoming it. Part of it's just changing your environment. Part of it's just changing your environment to where you succeed. Like, there's so many times where it's funny. Like, you know, the feelings you got in high school when we were at some basketball game and Brady Phillips was picking a fight with somebody and you start getting nervous and you're like, am I going to get into this or not? And it was fun, like the adrenaline was pumping. But I'm so glad I don't have that in my life anymore. Like, I just don't put myself in situations where I'm confronting other males. Right? Like in the work environment a little bit because you're arguing back and forth and debating and kind of getting after each other. But I'm not like afraid for myself physically anymore. And I used to be in high school and I was like, all it took was an environment change.
Exactly.
And it's just, you don't have to deal with that crap anymore. Some people deal with it every single day of their lives. I never deal with it. Part of it is because I just don't want to. So I just don't surround myself.
Yes.
So is that like, what are some of the pillars? You talk about changing your environment. You talk about being, like, having integrity to yourself. Like, what are someone's first steps?
So we just work on, like, first steps is like integrity, obviously, and just making a simple power promise. Like, making a power promise to themselves of, like, you know, if somebody's coming in, I'd be like, all right, let's just work on drinking your water. Like, how do you drink? How good's your water? You know, and they'll be like, oh, okay. And then I'll be like, and throw in like 10 minutes of movement. You know, let's just do that for a power promise, and then let's build from there. Let's build it up from there. And so, like, and as they start to see success, they're like, oh, okay. But then you're keeping them winning. Like, the biggest thing is you want to keep people winning all the time. Because it's like the moment they try to say, okay, let's go do this exercise and let's do this for an hour. Let's make sure your food is 100%, It's like that they're going to do that for 2 days. They're going to be fired up. It's going to go well. They're going to be like, it's like, you know, hey, here we go. And then it's going to just fall flat on their face. So it's just like, okay, here we go. So that's kind of where we start with them, is keeping power promise, teaching the importance of integrity and clearing the integrity. Because I always say living with integrity is clearing integrity. Like, if you're just always perfect and you say you're always living with integrity, well, then you better know that, like, you are going to be clearing integrity. That's living with integrity.
Like
That's
being
part of
like
it.
having people call you on it is what you mean? Like saying like,
Yeah.
no, dude, you weren't honest. You don't
Yeah.
have integrity.
Yeah, and somebody just clearing it, like saying like, okay, I committed to my workout and I didn't get it. I just completely went off plan and ate bad. I'm clearing my integrity right now. This situation happened, no excuse. I know why it happened, and I'm recommitting to you, and this is my next power promise. It's like bingo.
So
And when
was
they say
there a
that, you're like,
confronting moment?
Thank you.
Was there a
Yeah.
confronting moment with when you were going through your transformation when someone kind of called you out?
Not during the show, but since the show, there's been times where like you have your core friends, like Heidi. Heidi's a great one for me. She'll just be like, Bruce, like kind of start leaning the scale the other way, or like what you need to do. Like, okay, how was the week? If you're doing a weight check-in, it's just like, okay, yeah, you're right. I had a little extra this or a little extra that. Like, yeah, okay, now okay, fine. Because it's like. Yeah, and you need those super friends that are going to do that. It can't be a spouse because it never ends well with a spouse. So.
You need an outside person, a third-party person you trust.
Yes,
That can give it
exactly.
to you. So how did you get into bodybuilding?
That will say something to you, and you're just like, I'm going to punch you in the face. Like,
yeah, you got it. Yeah, what's funny is there's a similarity between that and writing. So
yeah,
because writing is a weird thing. Like your weight is something deeply personal, and it's reflective of, if you start putting in pounds, it's reflective of you again not having integrity and missing out on the promises you made to yourself. So it's this weird thing where you wear it; it's immediately visible. And something is similar with writing. Like when you write something, you pour your heart and soul. Like you expose a lot of who you are in what you write. And then when people comment on your writing and critique it, sometimes it's like, geez, man. Like,
I know.
Comment on me.
That's
That's not a comment on my story. That's a comment on me. And so you take it personally. So you have to have people that are competent, but you trust them implicitly. And then when they say something, you're like, all right, it's not an attack on me. It's an attack on maybe some of my decisions. But It's not an attack on me. I'm comfortable with this. Because it was funny at Exxon, you go through all these corporate trainings, and one of them was if you need to give people feedback, how do you give people uncomfortable feedback? And part of it was you need to make them comfortable. So you would do role plays and stuff too. It's like if someone's zipper is down, or if someone has it's weird. Yeah. Someone has something stuck in your teeth. How do you do it? If someone has really bad BO in the office, how do you confront them? You're like, you got to make them comfortable. And if someone's comfortable, you can tell them anything.
Anything. No, that is so true.
Yeah. So how did you get into bodybuilding?
Oh, I just basically from Chris and Heidi, because they were doing like physique shows and stuff, and I needed something that does push me and makes me uncomfortable, and then it kind of keeps me going. It keeps me on my toes. You know what I mean? In all honesty, it's more for accountability. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can still eat as much as I've ever ate before in my life. I can still go off the deep end at any moment or any time. So it's kind of like that forces me to do it. And I was always saying, oh, I'm going to do one. And then I would come up with every freaking excuse why I shouldn't. And then one day Heidi was like, well, look, you're either going to look like crap and get on stage, or you're going to look good and get on stage. You're going no matter what. On stage. You better either dial it in, or you're going to just da-da-da-da. So that was the kind of the verdict of it. And then it's just been fun. So it's a challenge. Yeah. It's a challenge for me. And so it keeps me uncomfortable. And because it's like, it's one of the most dreading things ever, because you literally are getting judged. Nobody likes to be judged.
Talk about exposing yourself. That's you standing up there wearing nothing.
Yeah, at least I get to wear the board shorts. So dude, I
want to see you rocking that mankini.
Yeah, I would never do that. I'll never go that far. So,
dude, you're looking jacked.
I'm trying. I got actually a show this Saturday.
So what are you weighing in at right now?
I'm weighing in at 215.
Dude.
So.
What you were down to and dude, you again, that's like from where you ended the show, so that's like 40 pounds of muscle that you put on, basically.
Yeah. So I'm at my lowest body fat percentage even before I was at the show, so that's good.
Really?
So even at the end of that, because I was just so skinny.
Dude, you were a rail.
Yeah,
I remember watching the show, and when I watched it, and it was like, you were like 181 or something? I can't remember what you got down to.
Yeah, 181.
And I was like, Bruce weighs less than I do? I was like, what? I was like, dude, I have got things in high gear.
Yeah, I was a little guy, that's for sure.
So when you're run up, like when you're like trying to squeeze out the last few pounds, are you like trying to drop weight like a wrestler, or did you try to keep yourself kind of honest with like, I'm hydrated,
Yeah, I don't drop because for me, since I'm not like exactly with where some of those guys are, I don't want to have like a huge rebound. So I just want to be able to stay at a good weight because some of those guys do the shows and they do some drastic things. They rebound so hard and then they can't get back to where they want to for like months.
You'd always see it in the Biggest Loser. It's like the guy's got immunity 1 week, so he doesn't drop anything. He's like, yeah, I don't know what happened. And then the next week he drops like 40 pounds. You're like, waterlogged, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So are you friends with a lot of those guys? Are you like, is there like a network of those people?
No, not very many I don't really know any of them from Biggest Loser. Some of our other cast members, they're way into that stuff.
Yeah.
And so they kind of like it, but it wasn't my thing. So I don't really know any of them. I mean, they've messaged me kind of like, hey, I was on Biggest Loser, congratulations, and on Extreme Weight Loss. I'm like, oh yeah, cool, thanks, congratulations to you too. And granted, theirs is different because theirs is a game show, basically because they have a prize at the end. Where like, you know, we didn't have anything, which is, I'm glad I was on Extreme Weight Loss instead of Biggest Loser. I could have won Biggest Loser, but I probably, like those guys, I would have done some drastic stuff to win that money.
Yeah, it's just like not, to me, if you're going to do this, you got to do it
exactly
like right, you know, and like gaming the system. Because if you're teaching yourself to, I'm going to lose weight by gaming things, that is not the right mentality you need to be taking forward in life.
No.
You're talking about integrity and keeping integrity. And then you've created a system over here, which is like cheat, you know, cut corners, do whatever else. And I'm just like, that's not the lessons you want to be learning. I mean, they lose a lot of weight, which is great. But like, as far as maintaining, because what is it, like 90-some% gain it back?
It's something like, I think it's in the 90s. Like overall, just a lot of like, if you look at the statistic of in general, people that have lost weight, especially on the TV shows, is really bad. But like people that have just in general that lose weight, it's usually within 5 years, I think is what they say, within 5 years, they've either gained it all back or more. So,
jeez, dude. That would be a trip. To be up at 400, to go down to 200, and then go back up.
Yeah.
Like the emotional roller coaster that thing would be.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, and Chris, I remember telling me 5 years. Like when you lose the weight, it usually takes up to 5 years before that is your normal.
Oh wow! And you're
like
there, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty close to basically 5. Yeah. So it's like that's when you finally are starting to be like, oh, okay, this is it, you know. Right. So, and then your body kind of is like, this is the new normal, you know. So
big thing like integrity is at the core of getting it off, the core of keeping it off. That's your big push. And I really like that, being, you know, making promises to yourself, keeping those promises. And so if someone wants to change, whether it's addiction, whatever else, it's making little promises to yourself that you can keep. So you get used to winning, and then you just kind of roll it forward.
Because a lot of the times people don't believe in themselves. So like they don't love themselves. So at the end of the day, like, but when you keep integrity to yourself, that naturally starts to happen because you're like, oh, I actually do care about myself enough to be doing this. Because it's always the key for integrity is what do you do when nobody's watching? It's like football. I always tell people when I'm coaching, I'm like, you know, I would love to have a team that's full of integrity, like to themselves. Because I would love to look at our players and be like, hey, did you watch your film? Hey, did you run past the white line? Like how many times have you ever been like, can't you just run past the white line? Yeah. You know what I mean? And now they're looking at it from this perspective. Now it's like, now I know why that was so important. It's like, because then you know that person's going to play with integrity. If you had 11 people that have full-on integrity, you know on Friday night it's going to be the best. We're going to be as good as we can be. If we come up short, it's not because of the effort. It's not because of anything else, but it's because, like, they were just better that day.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you had – there's just so many people like, oh, yeah, coach, I went home. I watched a ton of film. No, they didn't. You know what I mean? Like, all that stuff. And that's what it is. And if a team had full of integrity like that, you're going to win a lot of games. Like, because they're just going to they're going to do the little things that the other team's not going to do, you know? So.
Yeah. And I see it with my kids all the time. So my son, he's 9 and he's he's gotten to a point where I think he's realized, oh, if I lie, I can get away with a lot of stuff. And so
Yeah.
I'm trying to root a lot of that out of him right now. And a lot of it boils down to, I had these conversations with him, and he's like, it's just this. And I was like, it's not just that. I don't care about the thing that it was. I don't care that you lied about the fact that you got on the computer and watched a couple YouTube videos. I care that you lied to me about it. I don't care what it was. And then I keep telling him, this is the phrase, I can't remember how many times I've had this conversation with him. I keep saying, Owen, there's going to be a time in your life when you're going to need me to trust you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have my trust, that's going to be a very dark day. Like, he's going to be 16, his buddies are going to throw bricks through some window, and the cops are going to catch him, and then he's going to look at me and go, Dad, I didn't do it. And if I go, dude, I don't trust you, it's going to stink, dude. That day is going to suck.
Exactly.
Like, you need me to trust you, man. And I was like, I am on your team. But if you lie about stupid little stuff, when you need it and you're pleading, you know what? You might be right. But that's the cost of not having trust. Cost of not having trust is you don't get trusted when you're telling the truth.
Exactly.
And yeah, so I see that too. Cause I've been coaching my son's flag football team, and I'll be like, "All right, guys, you got to run, and you have to. We're doing ladders. You got to touch the line. I want to make sure." And you see the kid that takes the shortcut, the kid that stops a little. I was like, "You're stopping 6 inches short. Just touch the freaking line."
Exactly.
I don't even care that you run the extra 6 inches. I just care that you can be obedient to a coach.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's amazing how people don't do that. And I'm sure I've got plenty of examples of me doing the same thing, in my youth and now. But it's, why do we take those shortcuts, It's like the ability to be honest to yourself. It sounds like a cliche, but it's so important.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's so important. It's what separates you from doing great things. It really is.
Because, in the end, some people they see this huge difference between them and where they want to be, and it's little things. It's
tiny things.
It's a thousand little things. And I'm fascinated now that I've done this jump from my day job to this. I'm fascinated with successful mindsets. So I've been there's a book called The Fighter's Mind. This guy just goes around and interviews like famous wrestlers and UFC fighters and boxers and marathon runners, successful business people. I'm fascinated with successful creative professionals. Because I don't know, I got into Exxon and I did it, and I think I was driven because I wanted to make money and provide for my family. But my drive wasn't in Exxon, right? My drive was outside. I was doing Exxon in spite of my passion. I wasn't, my passion, and then I kind of realized, when my dad died, I was like, what if I put my drive in my day job? What if it wasn't something outside? Because it carried my day job is what it did. Like, how did you write this book and do your day job? It's like, because I wanted to write a book so bad. So it just carried my day job. But I was like, what if it was inside my day job? What if it was? What if my passion fed my day job and my day job fed my passion? Like, nothing's stopping you then.
Nothing. I love that.
Do you still coach football at all?
I didn't this past year, finally. That was finally the one time that I didn't, just because I'm busy. But I'm looking to get back into next year. Actually, somebody wants to interview me to be the freshman head coach for one of the high schools out here.
Sweet.
So I was like, yeah, I'd be down with that.
I was about to say, man, you have to step away from being a lineman coach and be a wide receiver coach, dude. Looking like that.
I know, right? Now I can get down, though, in a three-point stance, no problem now with the linemen and do everything they need me to do.
That's true.
So it's great.
I guess 220, though, man. You're still big.
Yeah.
I'll
still take on any of those guys.
Can you imagine, dude, if you freaking looking like that in high school football?
Oh man, I had the
Stosich make me so mad.
I know. If I had the workout, I always tell that to Corey actually every now and then when I talk to him. I was like, if I just lifted like this back in the day, I would have been such a better player.
You know what they never did with us that I know they do now? Because now it's weird. It's like we missed it by like 3 or 4 years. It's like
I know.
4 years after us, they get new fields, they get new freaking. We had to buy our own shoulder pads.
Yeah.
It's like It's like we were raised in the 70s. Or something like in the 50s. We buy, and now they're tricked out. They got Under Armour this and that.
Oh yeah.
We had nothing.
No.
We had to work at a Christmas tree lot and buy our own shoulder pads.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And basically our jerseys were like ironed on numbers. Like it was.
Could you imagine a Covey having to buy his own shoulder pads?
I know exactly.
Heaven forbid they have to do that. But yeah, can you one thing they never talk to us about diet. Never. No one came to us. None of the coaches like, hey guys, by the way, it's like 90% what you eat. Like I know you're slamming it in the weight room, but like if you want to get jacked there, because I was like 160, I couldn't get any bigger than 165. If some guy would have come to me and been like, dude, this is how you do it, we could have gotten freaking jacked, man.
Oh, yeah. The thing is now it's just so much like, it's so different now because it's like the way we all thought back then was eat as much food as you can, eat as much food. It's not that. It's there's a science behind it all now. Like, it doesn't need to be like that. So it's crazy now looking at it, what we could have done then, you know? Like, who knows what would have happened.
Look at freaking Stosich, dude. That guy.
Yeah.
I was like, where was that in friggin' 2001?
Seriously, where was that?
Like,
where was
give
that?
me a break, man. That guy is huge.
Huge.
I don't understand. I don't get
Stosich.
it. So what do you do? What your diet thing is? It's all macros, counting macros. What's your
diet? Pretty much I count macros, and so I just kind of like do like certain. I measure out everything is what I do, so I know it equals my macros, so I don't have to be counting like all during the week. And then obviously I use Chris and Heidi's app to track it with their new one that's coming out. It's like MyFitnessPal. So it just like tracks everything that I have and what I need. So that's the easiest way to do it for me. I keep things so basic and plain. It's easy though.
So do you like? But yeah, macros allows you to be a little bit flexible, right? Macros allows
as long as they fit into your macros. So, but I always say like trigger foods. Everybody has trigger foods. Like you know, there are some people that are not food addicts that can stop at a couple of Oreos, but I can't stop at a couple of Oreos. If I eat 2 Oreos, I'm eating the whole pack. You know what I mean? All these. That's the argument that I get in with these like nutritionists or whatever. Some of them is like, well, just tell your people they can eat whatever they want. And I'm like, no, they can't, because if they eat a donut, it triggers this, triggers that, and it's just like boom. So I said, it's not worth it. You know, it's just like, but when they don't have that kind of mindset of like towards food that like I do and numerous other people do, it's like they don't get it. Just like I don't get their other things that they have things with, where I'm like, well, why can't you just stop doing that? You know, it's just like. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I think part of that's just, we kind of did that point about avoiding your environment. Like, just don't, like, a really sort of honest and self-controlled person can resist a certain amount, but there comes a time where it's like, you put yourself in the wrong spot, man. You're going to cave, so just don't do it.
Exactly.
How are you on vacations and stuff? You count it all out? Or you kind of give yourself some
No, I go have a good time then usually. Like I usually just like I always say memories over macros, you know, kind of thing. So just pick the moments. Yeah. You know, like you got to pick. Like it just depends like what kind of vacation I'm going on. You know, if it's one I know is going to be fun, it's not going to be worth like counting, being stressful about, then I don't.
You just ruin your vacation.
Yeah. I just like I don't want to be stressed about it. So I always say keep your integrity to what your plan is. So if your plan is to eat off plan the whole time, then that's your plan. You kept your integrity. That's what I always say. So, or maybe it is like breakfast, you're going to eat okay. You're going to eat clean. You're going to get a 20-minute workout in, but the rest of the day it's just free for all, eat whatever you want. Okay, great. There's your plan. Kept your integrity. Bingo.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's good. So where do you, 5 years from now, where do you see Bruce from? I mean, 5 years ago, you were at a very different spot. So where do you see 5 years from now? What are you in 2023? I guess
that's a very good question.
So for the 20-year reunion, what is Bruce 2022? What is Bruce gonna be doing walking into the 20-year reunion?
I should have 2 kids by then at least. Sweet. Let's hope. There you go. So and then just like living the dream, still coaching people, but in a different thing, and then running like big old like conferences, transformation conferences, and speaking and stuff. That's what I'm going to be. That's what I'm going to be doing, and still coaching people because I love it.
So you've gone to like different fitness conventions and stuff, different cons.
Yeah.
You go speak at those.
Yep. I've done those. I've spoke to different city councils and stuff like that. So like schools and everything else. So yeah.
It's so funny, dude. Like somehow our lives have intersected at this point because I go to like Renaissance fairs and I'm going to different conventions and I go to schools. Somehow you and I have ended up basically doing the same thing. I mean, there's lots of things we don't do similar, but like that's funny. Our audiences are very similar. Going to conventions and schools and whatever else.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, man, I was remember back a bunch of times I asked Eric, I was like, what's a funny story about Bruce? The first one he wrote back was the number one thing I had on my head. I don't even know if you remember this. We were in my basement, and for some reason we got way into boxing. So we carried around boxing gloves wherever we went. Yeah. And you were like, dude, I want to box Corey. And Corey's like, Bruce, dude, you don't want to box me. You're like, dude, no, I want to box Corey. And so I remember lacing up Corey's gloves in my front yard. It was dark. And
Yes.
Corey going like, dude, I don't know why Bruce wants to box me.
I
And you got
remember that.
KO'd in like 15 seconds.
Oh yeah, I remember.
There was no
I
stopping you,
remember.
dude.
There was nothing stopping me that day. I think I was like mad at him or something about
I
something.
think you were.
So that was great. I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember hitting the deck and being like, "Oh my gosh!" Oh, that was
That's
funny.
the thing, though, man. You had your. It's a weird type of personality that if you don't funnel it in the right direction, it can lead you
Yeah.
either to greatness or it can lead you to box a 300-pound
Exactly.
Polynesian in Mike Thayer's front yard.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was great. That was so great.
They still bring up every once in a while how you guys defaced my Steve Young cardboard cutout with 2 Nerf balls and a Nerf dart.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget that thing.
I
I'll
remember
never forget
walking,
that moment.
going, I should have known it was the Raiders guy, man, that was going to do that.
I know, right?
I remember walking downstairs and I just, I was so mad. Oh,
I remember that. The thing is, they had every bit of doing it too because they
Of
were
course.
like, we should do this. Bruce, go do it, you know? So
Of course. And then the other funny one, I was thinking about when we were putting up Halloween decorations. I was in my basement and I was taking out my Christmas decorations, and there was a time we would drive around up in Indian Hills and just go look for we look for the deer, right? The Christmas
Yes.
decorations deer, so we could mount them.
Oh yeah.
But then there was this house. It's up near Rock Canyon Bowl, and it was decked out. Had tons of Christmas decorations. So we're in Scotts Suburban, and we're like, Bruce, go up and I don't even know what we wanted you to do. Go up and just mess with some decoration. So you go up and you like push this tinsel nutcracker or something, and I thought I saw something in the window. So I was like, Bruce. So you start running towards the car, and so Scott's driving away. The shotgun door's open, and you're running, and I didn't think you were gonna make it. So I should have told Scott, slow down, but instead I said, stop. So he slammed on the brakes, and you ran straight into the car, like this full sprint. And then you just fell into the car, and we drove away. And then I remember thinking, I actually don't know if I actually saw anybody in the window. So Bruce just took off, and oh, dude.
Dude, those were the fun times, man. Those were the fun times. We can't say we didn't have fun.
No.
That's for sure. That is for sure.
And I just
Oh,
when I tell
man.
people, I would talk to somebody, at work that grew up in Texas, Louisiana, and I said, look, I know I didn't drink growing up. I didn't do much stuff with girls growing up, but I guarantee I will put my youth up against yours any day
Oh,
as
no
far as how
question.
crazy we got.
No question. When I share stories, people are like, what? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, what were you guys even thinking? I'm like, hey, that's what happens when you don't have drinking
That's
and all
right.
that. Your mind just goes crazy.
You've got
like thinking of other things. So, oh, that was fun.
dude, I'm so glad you're doing well. And then how long have you been married?
2 years now.
2
A
years.
little over 2 years. Yep. It's going good. Made it through 2.
Made it through 2,
Yeah.
dude. It's all today actually is my 13th wedding anniversary.
Oh, well, happy anniversary.
October
There you go.
29th. We don't have any
13.
money this year, so we just went out and we went to lunch. That was amazing. But I could go to lunch, which is something I've never been able to go, do before.
Yeah, there you go. See?
So, a little bit of fruit.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's
Exactly.
crazy, man. How
That
on
is
earth,
awesome.
Bruce? How did we get here?
I don't have no idea. I think about that every day, but
Which
You
makes
know?
me wonder, like another, so we're coming up on, how long has it been since high school? It's been 16 years?
yeah.
So another 16 years.
Be looking back and just being like, wow, that's what it's just looking back and going, wow, that's what we've accomplished. All right. Sounds good.
That's what I hope. And I mean, obviously we're going through a lot of changes from now to high school, but like,
Yeah.
do you go through the same amount of changes the next 16 years, or do we look back at ourselves now and go, we were such idiots?
Yeah. I
In
don't
our
know.
young
That's
30s,
a very
we
good
were
question.
morons. We
Yeah,
didn't know
that's
anything.
a good question. That's a good question that we'll have answered in 16 years. So.
Yes, we will. Yeah, I often wonder how that high school reunion is going to go, because I think I'll try to make it to the 20th. I was
Yeah,
gone
I think
for
I
whatever
think
else
I
the
will
other one.
too. I think I will too. I was wondering if who's planning it?
I don't know, because I think it's supposed to be.
Hold on there. Hold that thought. I gotta pee.
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah,
pee.
Go do it, man.
Bingo.
Yeah, for the dude, when you're drinking that much water, man.
I know.
So how we were just laughing about this the other day because we have this group text that we do. Me, Scott, Eric, Reagan and Adam Seifert. We've had the same group text for 4 years. It has I think it has well over something like 80,000 text messages on it. Anyway, so we were talking about how I lost I lost student body president, and this is another slight Bruce twist on this story. So I was confident I was going to win. I was like,
so was I.
Sean Loveless, I'm gonna crush this, and obviously I lost. It was one of the many pieces of humble pie I've had to eat over the years. And so they took us in the back. It was a dance. It was a stag dance, and they took us in the back room. Then they announced who won, and I was just shocked. So as I walk out, just totally dejected, I'm crushed. The first person I see is you, and you come up to me like you're excited, like you won, man. So you come up to me and you see my face, and you're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I lost." And do you remember what you did? First thing you did,
took somebody out.
You went and tried to rough up Sean Loveless. You were trying to rough up the guy who beat me. You went right up to his face, and he was like, "No, dude. I mean, he doesn't even know why he's being attacked because he won, fair and square."
I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember I was so pissed. I was probably as pissed as anyone, man. Because I thought you were gonna win.
I know.
I was out. I remember when that happened. I was out for blood, man. I do remember I was just like, what?
Somehow I had to calm you down, the fact that I lost. And then I took off. I left. I was like, screw this, man. I wasn't even going to be involved. I was so bitter.
I remember I had it out with him and a lot of his friends that night. I was like, I'll freaking knock you out too. Yeah, I was like, I'll knock you out too.
I got this gang of guys that are going to go rough up everybody. If I lose, Thair's going to send his guys out.
I remember I think I went to the office too the next day. I'm like, this is so stupid that this is the way this thing is. I was so mad.
That's why you're a good friend, Bruce.
That's exactly it, man. I was ready to. Oh man,
you had my back when I didn't even know I needed it.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish my other friends would have voted. That's what came out to it too. I was like, please, did you vote? It's like, I don't know. Couldn't be bothered.
That still is not right. Because he didn't do anything. First of all,
we had made this joke Thayer, we should get you to start up this thing on Facebook to see if you can run, 16 years later to reverse the decision. But I was like, I know how this is going to go down. I've never won an election. Anytime it's up to someone voting, I lose. I think people like me. I think I'm a personable guy. But every time someone has to vote for me, I lose. I don't know why it is. Maybe people think I'm too overconfident, and so they want to. Anyway. I'm confident I would lose. I would just set myself up for failure. But they thought, dude, come up to the 20-year reunion. We should have another race.
I know.
To reverse the decision.
So funny.
I couldn't even find Sean Loveless. I looked at him. I was trying to look him up on Facebook or whatever. I don't know where he's at.
Yeah, what is he? I wonder what he's doing nowadays.
A couple people are just off the radar, man.
That's crazy.
But I think the person who's supposed to plan it is Jimmy Winterton. I think it's the senior class president who's supposed to plan the 20-year reunion.
Is he going to do it?
I don't know. I'll have to bug him. We'll have to post something. We'll post this podcast in the. I'll post it in the TimFew. The TimFew Facebook page, and I'll start getting the conversation going.
Yeah, get the conversation going. Because all it's going to take is somebody. If he doesn't want to do it, I'll freaking find a place to do it, and I'll put it together. Yeah, easy.
We'll do it. It's funny because this was a couple years ago. I went back and looked in the yearbook. And there was most likely to whatever. And Brady Phillips was most likely to play in the NFL. And then Chris Wilson was most likely to be a musical composer. And I was like, which I think is kind of what he does now. And I was like, way to fail, Brady. Way to fail miserably and disappointing.
Brady let us all down.
Yeah, he let us all down. And I was like, good job, Chris. Way to keep your end of the bargain, pal.
Yeah.
You can teach Brady a few things.
Brady. I haven't talked to that guy for days.
I haven't either, man. I haven't talked to him for friggin'... I think it's been basically high school, but I have. I was reading through it because I kept a small journal. I wish I would have kept more of a journal to keep more of these stories. But I was just reading through it, and every other story is Brady Phillips picking some fight, some dance with some person, or what was one of them? One of them was, we had told Farnes to go up and say something to somebody, and so Farnes went up and said something to somebody. We wanted Farnes to pick a fight, is what we wanted to do. And then we were going to be there to back Farnes up. I'll have to look at it.
Oh, my God.
And then Brady comes in and trucks some guy. I can't remember. Aaron Dastrup or somebody like that. Comes in and knocks him over. And, and I was like, I think in the journal, I was like, I've never seen someone fly so far in my entire life.
I think I remember that because I think I think I remember that because I was laughing so hard at the moment when it happened. Because I think you're exactly right. Because I just remembered like nobody saw it coming. And you just see this guy just flying.
For how strong and great
like,
Brady was.
He had no idea what our plan was. I don't think so. He just thought somebody was messing with him.
He just gets
oh man, that's right. I remember that because I remember as soon as that happened, I don't think I could stop laughing because I was like, "You have got to be kidding me!
Dude,
Did that really just happen?"
The biggest hits Brady's ever laid were in friggin' dances. They weren't even on the field.
No kidding. Dancing with his JUCO jeans or whatever he was wearing that day. Just kidding.
Dude, Brady, man, that guy was a monster. How did he not make it to the NFL? I don't know. He looked like Hercules when he was 12.
I know. Remember when he was on like heavyweight?
Man.
He just didn't grow much after that.
Like baseball abs when he was like 14.
Yeah.
Monster. I remember having to play against guys like that. Like, who was the other guy? Like Nick Johnson or whatever. Played for Provo. Had like a beard when he was like in middleweight or whatever.
Yeah, I remember all those guys.
It's funny because now my kids are starting to experience. It's like my kids are having these experiences at ages that I remember. Right? When your kids are little, you don't remember what it was like to be 3. But I remember what it was like to be 9 and 11. So my daughter is 11 and she's playing soccer, and she's in that period where half the people haven't hit puberty, half of them have. And I remember looking just like, who are these kids, man?
Yeah, exactly.
Huge. This girl's like broad-shouldered. She's like developed. Oh, yeah. She's like 5'5". I'm just like, man.
Big.
It is
nuts. There's all the stuff they know nowadays, too. Like, they groom them to make them big.
It's true. So, I'm lucky. My daughter, is a monster. She is huge. So she's a head taller, and she's 6. But she's a head taller than everybody else. She scores like 1,000 goals a game.
There you go.
My wife's like, we should teach Sienna to pass. And I was like, no way. I don't know how long this is going to last.
Yeah,
I have never been the person, nor have I had the kids that were like the dominant ones. So I'm going to ride this out as long as it lasts. Then when everyone catches up, when she's 10 years old, then I'll deal with that when the time comes. Exactly. But for now, I'm going to be the dad who's got the one person that all the parents are mad at because they just dominate. And it feels... I never miss her games, dude. It feels so awesome. She scores 6 goals, and you start hearing the other parents like, how old is that kid? She's so tall. And I was like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
You wonder how old she is. She's dominating. Exactly. You're a slow kid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to last, but I'm loving it.
You never know, though. It might last.
It's
good. It might have the Brady Phillips effect and just go all through high school and have no problem.
It'd be so sweet. The glory days, man. That's what I'm going to name. I have a little upstairs gym in my house that I've named it the Glory Days Gym. So I have our football trophy from 7th grade up there. I'm going to hang my high school football jersey, and I'm going to get an Uncle Rico poster.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Too bad you couldn't find your old cleat, and just have it there.
No, man. I've gotten a couple of my old jerseys. I think I have some Centennial jerseys. I'm going to go back to. I just contacted the principal today, or the librarian. I'm gonna try to go back and do a presentation at Centennial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that would be so cool. Sweet.
And then, too bad you didn't have your neck roll.
Dude, the old neck roll. Half of that was my cowboy collar. I put towels in there and then duct tape on the back of towels.
Oh yeah, nobody does the neck roll anymore.
No one does.
Nobody does.
That is such. Everyone wants to look sleek and fast. I was like, I want to make this 160-pound frame look as big as humanly possible.
I remember back in the day, the neck roll was like the thing that you wanted,
man.
Yeah, everything. It was like,
head movement.
I gotta have the biggest one. The
cowboy collar and the neck roll.
Oh yeah.
Like, you got to do a point where you couldn't stretch your jersey over. Like you had to tape your jersey to it, or it wouldn't even stay.
Nothing beats Simmons' neck roll. I'll never forget him getting knocked out on a kickoff, and literally he bounced off the ground because of that neck roll. I'll never forget. Literally, he's coming up to block somebody. Somebody hits him. He goes like this. Literally goes boom, boom. Just like, I was like, you gotta be kidding. Just air knocked out of him. That was so funny.
Simmons' neck roll.
Oh my. It was like bigger than his entire body.
Oh, it was, man. Every special team specialist had a big neck roll.
Oh,
every guy that dominated in the weight room, but was a nobody on the field and was just a kickoff guy. She's like,
And
how
all
big
he
can
was
I get
saying
this
he was
stud,
gonna
bro?
do everything to
Yeah.
everybody, but it never happened.
Dude, you got one play, dude, to break the wedge. That's your one
Yeah.
shot the whole game to make this happen. So make it count.
Oh, those guys are great.
Simmons and Neckrell. I gotta catch up with these guys. I haven't caught up. Like, I'll throw a joke like, Richie Nash's way or Alex's way, Alex Groh's way, but like, but I am in close contact with Eric, Scott, Reagan, Corey to some degree, but not nearly as much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You
I haven't seen Reagan or heard from Reagan forever.
He's been moving around, man. He went back east, went to Connecticut for a while, and then is now down in San Antonio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How many kids do they have?
They have 3. They have 2 girls and a boy, like me.
Wow.
Yeah. It's, dude, so awesome. That's why, like, Facebook takes away some of the whole, mystique of a reunion, but it would still be awesome to get everybody.
Yeah.
together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I haven't seen or talked to so many people.
That's why I am all for this 20-year reunion. I want to make it sweet.
Well, because it's just like we really are completely different people in so many ways, So
it is. It's weird, and you can't really trace. It's an odd thing because I had a lot of friends that had crappy dads, right?
Yeah.
Like Eric had a crappy dad. Your dad wasn't the greatest example.
No.
And it's weird because some people never recover from it, and then
Nope.
other people it makes them stronger. It
Yep.
makes them even if they would have had a good dad, they still somehow come out of it stronger than ever.
Yeah.
And had a crappy dad. They do it in spite of it, and it's such an awesome thing. I can't tell you how many times in the last 5 years when I've feeling sorry for myself or whatever, and I've thought about you. I'm like, dude. Bruce is a stud, man. He's been able to turn this thing around. I've got nothing to complain about. And it's
I
just,
appreciate it.
yeah, man, I appreciate it because it's like a very tangible example. It's not some mystery person. It's not some guy that was just on a TV show. It's my friend who's
Yeah. Yep.
overcame a lot of stuff to make this happen.
Well, and you guys are bigger. Like I said in the beginning, you guys are a big part of it because I wouldn't have made it through if it wasn't for that. We ran with the 6-man club, and we had the funnest time of our lives.
We did.
So
I still tell people that story. Like you hear over the intercom this list of 70 people get called down to the auditorium. You're like, this is every single person who's had everything to do with everything that's gone wrong for the past 4 years of this high school. You're like, what is this assembly going to be about? So we go down there, we get chewed out, and then by the end of it, we've made a club. And then we got candy bars.
Just like, you guys can't do this anymore. We got to make it. And I was, all right, let's make it a club. Let's do this.
I remember walking back in. I walked back into AP English, and my teacher, Mrs. Durham, was like, she's like, finally, Mike Thayer's going to get what's coming to him, right? So I walk back in 10, 15 minutes late, and she's like, so, you want to tell me how that assembly went? I was like, yeah, it's great. We're starting a club, and we got a candy bar. And she was so mad. She's like, what?
Everyone was so mad. Everyone thought we were going to get what's coming to us. All everyone did. And it just ended up being a laugh fest with Dr. Bayless saying you guys are actually pretty clever and everything else. It was great.
We just need to funnel this in the right direction.
That was after the Orem basketball game. I remember. Because we started the chant of acne for that one kid. And
yes. You know what's crazy? My mother-in-law brings this up because that was her nephew. That was my wife's cousin or something. My wife's second cousin. And she's like, I can't believe you guys chanted that. And I was like, look, because they would see me over there start some of these chants. I was like, look, I never did the acne chant because I had acne. But I was like, but I did quite a few of the other chants. I wasn't. I
was all in on every chant. I was a bully, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, maybe we had to go through some pretty trying years just for karma to make it back up.
Exactly.
We're just barely now coming out of it. It took us all those years to you're not allowed to pursue your dream, Mike. You got 10 years of hard time to pay.
Oh yeah.
For all the damage you did in high school.
Oh man, those were so much fun.
It's crazy because my daughter's in middle school. It's 5th grade, but it's middle school. Sorry, 6th grade, but it's middle school. And she's loving it. And my oldest is my mini-me. She is me. She is exactly me. It's crazy. Her humor is similar to me. She looks like me. And I kind of know exactly what she's going to kind of get up to. And I like telling my kids the high school stories, but I don't. Because I don't want them to get ideas,
Yeah.
But my big thing is just nothing permanent. Nothing permanent. You can get into trouble. You can kind of have some mischief, have some fun, but don't have any babies.
Yep.
Don't damage any property. Don't get arrested.
Don't take it
fun.
to a level that's extreme.
Yeah, just don't do anything permanent that I can't undo or you can't undo, and then it will be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want them to have fun. Like, it's like reminiscing about this stuff.
You can get close to that line, but just make sure
just don't go over that line.
Yeah.
It's hard to know when you're there and when you're not.
Exactly. Especially nowadays. I feel like nowadays some of the things we've done would not have flown very good.
Yeah, now there's just, there's doorbell cams. There's all sorts of things that you can't. I was telling my daughter that the other day. She's like, man, I wish I would have been born earlier. I was like, I know, with the golden years.
Oh, yeah, the golden years, because you can't get away with that at all now.
No. And what's
and
funny,
we
too, is
be able to get away with how we treated people at basketball games at all.
No, probably not.
No. But it was fun.
It was fun, dude. And the thing was, we weren't, like, most of the time we were teasing people that were like us from other schools. Oh, yeah. Right? We weren't, like, finding the weaklings and picking. We were like, no. We're staring at the other people we fight. That was a great thing about basketball games. It's all the people that played football were now not playing a sport. So they were yelling at all the other football. Like, we just played these guys in football. And now we're standing across from each other, yelling at each other, and trying to provoke each other.
We really were trying to get in their heads to affect their basketball. We really were. My intention every time was, we need to get in their heads and make sure they're not playing basketball good.
Sixth man. No one did it better,
man. Man. And we almost won it all with the team that wasn't supposed to.
I know. Yeah. Dude. It's funny because I look back at my son's flag football team, and they've had some good years, and they've had some, like, this year was pretty rough. And I was like, I think I actually brought this up in my last podcast. Middle school went undefeated. We lost one game our freshman year. Sophomore year was undefeated. Junior year undefeated. Senior year we lost 4.
I know.
I was like, we hardly even had to deal with loss.
Yeah,
we won all the freaking time.
And we had no business losing either.
No. And my daughter's soccer team just got murdered every game. And I was like, now I know what it's like to be a parent of a Payson football player.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it the worst?
Oh, it's so bad.
When I left Timpview and I went and coached those schools that just were not talented, it's just like, oh my gosh, now I know what this feels like.
It's not good. It's not fun, man.
To just show up to the field and just know you're about to get your heads kicked in.
You know what, though? It takes a certain kind of courage, though. It's a different lesson.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different lesson. You're not being constantly reinforced, like you're doing the right things, and that's why it's paying off. Then the lessons are like, you're working hard, you have to overcome adversity.
Yeah.
It's like a different kind of pep talk.
Yeah, exactly.
So fun,
that is so true.
It's fun to catch up, Bruce. I don't want to keep it forever, man, but
it was awesome. We got to do this again. That was fun.
I need to have you on as a recurring guest.
Yeah.
So let me know how the book goes and the launch goes, and if you're gonna do, like, book tours, or you're gonna speak at bookstores or whatever else. Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, I will for sure. For sure. Thank you.
So
this is awesome. Man. Thank you for taking the time. So thank you.
So much fun. Definitely, I'm going to post this to the Timpview page, and we're going to get some conversation going. I want to start some controversy.
Do it.
Yeah, it'll be good.
So that'll be sweet.
All right, man. So where can people find you if they want to look for Bruce?
Just on my Instagram at Bruce Pitcher, or Bruce Carlton Pitcher III on Facebook, or whatever else. So
do you have a website?
I have, like, a landing page so they can click on but I'm working on one, so yeah.
Sweet, man.
Perfect.
So good, Bruce.
Yes, thank you.
All right, man. We'll catch you later.
All right, there. We'll talk later.
See you, man.
Good times.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
There it is, folks. My conversation with my good buddy Bruce. More to come on that one. I'm going to follow up with Bruce. I'll have him probably as a regular on the podcast, just because I enjoy the guy so much and just love his passion and his energy. It's contagious. It benefits me in my life. When I talk about surrounding yourself with awesomeness, surrounding yourself with awesome people, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about surrounding yourself with people that motivate you to be a better person, that the way that they live their life makes you want to live your life better. And that's Bruce. Look, we all have faults. We all have got issues. We can all play the victim card if we want to, but I don't see a lot of productivity in wallowing in victimhood. As we said, there's a time to lick your wounds, and there's a time to mourn, for sure, and there's a time to sort of lay down and bleed. But as I mentioned, one of my all-time life-guiding quotes is "Lay me down to bleed a while, but I'll rise and fight again." And Bruce, he rose and fought again, hardcore, and it's just an incredible thing. I'm glad there's people on planet Earth like Bruce to show people that there is redemption from places like that, both emotionally and physically. And to do both, just incredible. All right, that is the podcast. So please tune in next week. I am talking to Dr. Michael Hill. I did the first half of this podcast. I think I hinted at it like a couple of weeks ago, and then just a bunch of other podcasts kind of got in the way. But I already recorded the first half of this podcast. We talk about intermittent fasting and sort of breaking down sort of preconceived mental barriers that we have in our lives. And then I'm recording the second half of this podcast later. I also recorded the first half of the podcast before the McGregor fight, and we gave predictions before the Khabib-Conor McGregor fight, and now we're going to talk about it post-fight. Anyway, just having fun with the podcast. So tune in next week for that conversation. His wife, Michael Hill's wife, Dr. Hill's wife, was also at UFC 229 in Las Vegas, so she's got a very interesting take on the events that happened, and she ran into Khabib afterwards at the airport and talked to him, which is pretty crazy. So anyway, there it is. Tune in next week. Please respond to the call. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Calling All Nerds. To find out more about Mike, his novels, blog posts, videos, and everything else interesting, go to mike-thayer.com.